Hey up, Cock, how you doing? It's EFL review time. We're going to go over the Championship and League One results from this weekend. I mean, we'll start with big one. Surely, Friday night's game, Ipswich 5, Sheffield United 0, which subsequently has seen Ruben Sellers get sacked. And as of right now recording it, Wilder is not back yet, but he's probably going to be back time I press upload button. Now, if any of you were in the watch along that I did for this game on Friday night, I was speaking before about how underrated Philogene is and how fantastic and how I expected him to score 3 goals. No, that is a fib. While ever Philogene was at Hull, I was convinced that he's going to go right to the top. And then since he's moved to Ipswich, I know he had one decent game really last season. It was away at Man United. But other than that, he's not pulled the trees up that I expected him to. This game is what I know and a lot of other people know Philogene is and what he can be. That is more like it. The talent that he has got at his disposal, I expect performances like this. Now, I actually do think, based on first half, if I go and get it up, 5-0 is very flattering to Ipswich. Even first half shows that like Ipswich was probably a better side, but I disagree. Like on the surface of actually watching it, I think Sheffield United held their own quite well. They can't hit a barn door to save their lives. Like the second half, they're the first and only 2 shots on target that Sheffield United have had away from home all season. So there's a core problem there going forward. But based on first half stats, which this is, I thought Sheffield United were probably a better side. I think they were unlucky with the manner at first goal, weren't they? Because Matos played a 70-yard blinder to Philogene for first goal. They still took it well. But then when they come out for second half, it was just boys against men. Like, they were the better side by an absolute landslide. Godfrey were absolutely awful. Like, truly awful. And you know what, as well? There's no explanation for benching Hamer anyway, because when we go and look at it, the best player from last season, where is he? Last season's player of the year, he stood there with trophy, is now on bench. There is no reasonable explanation at all that Sellers can come up with. Even if it's some sort of like attitude problem, which I highly doubt it is. There's never been anything of that come out with Sheffield United about him. So I doubt that it's anything like that. There is no way that you can explain, never mind to board and people that are going to hand you your P45 after the game. Are you supposed to look at other players in team after they've lost every single game so far, even cup game they've lost them all, and explain to them, right, you're not best player in this club, I'm actually going to bench him? There's no explanation. You can't reason with someone that's going to do something like that. So right and wrong, Walt, even if they'd have come and won this game, I still think players that have been looking at him like, he's lost his chuffing mind in benching Hamer. But yeah, Godfrey were awful. I think the body language of a lot of these players absolutely stinks. Tanganga's been there, 3 games? I think he'll have armband on very soon. Just based on the things that I was seeing, he is the only one that looks even remotely arsed and looks like he's got some sort of standards about him. I know you're playing under a numpty, and if Wilder is to come back, then obviously he's going to like get something drilled into him and quickly. But it's not just going to be an immediate flick at switch and then you start winning loads of games again. I think there's to the core of this club at minute, there is just such a drop off in standards compared to last season, but that were going to be inevitable anyway. I'm surprised they've kept him and they're not even utilising him. But yeah, Ipswich definitely did deserve a win. Let's take nothing away from him. Like I said, I think 5-0 is a flattering scoreline, but it's more like it. That's what you expect from, when you look at it personnel-wise and the bench and the squad depth of this Ipswich team. I still don't think they were that cracking and didn't warrant a 5-0. But it might give him a bit of a springboard now into going and print them teams to sword a little bit, which you expect them to. But yeah, we're a great way to get us going. Like, fantastic opening game. Ipswich 5, Sheffield United 0. Next, I want to go into Wrexham and QPR. There's obviously some R12s that we'll come and look at. But there's something that I need to address with this game first. Well, there's 2 things I need to address with this game and the teams involved in it. Number 1, where is he? Why were there no more teams after Coney? I need this explaining to me, because if you've not seen the finish, just little 2-step past Cody, who were awful, by the way, defensively, but he just skipped past him like it were no and just rifled it top bins. He makes the hardest thing in football look so easy, I think, Coney. It's such a different array of finishers that I've seen him score so far for QPR. And he's on 3 goals in 4 games, and he's scored in his last 3 games on trot as well. We have 45 minutes there, and his 2 starts, he's scored 1 in each. It's the best bit of business this window by any team in the world. I think I will die on that hill. For about 2, even if it was slightly more, the reported fee is somewhere between 2 and 3 million quid. Obviously, Wickham have got to sell on and all this. There is no reasonable explanation as to why there weren't more teams going in for this fella, because he will go for minimum 15 mil. He will be in Premier League this time next year. I'm actually convinced. QPR did just look the better side from what the highlights were showing. And Wrexham, argy-parky 2 games. me. I know Wrexham fans are always in comments on my videos saying, no, he's going to get more leeway and stuff like this because he's gone 3 promotions in a row. Take a step back, right? I know obviously Wrexham fans know a lot more about their club than I do. But when you take a step back and you look at how ruthless these owners and the director of football and everybody that makes a decision at Wrexham, how ruthless and how cutthroat they are, which is why you've been promoted 3 times in a row, you are not going to spend 30+ million quid and accept being 4th bottom. I know we're 5 games in, but next game for Wrexham is Norwich away. If they go there and lose, I think he gets maximum 2 games. If they lose at Norwich and don't win the one after that, I think he's gone. They're not going to piss about these. Every player that is not deemed good enough is gone. They've knocked down stand because they want to make it. Even though you've not got the fan base there, they've knocked down one at stands and they're going to build it. They want to fast track everything. They want to get to Premier League as fast as possible, and they will not do it by keeping someone who's going to have your 4th bottom after 5 games. The squad that you have got here on show, the squad depth is ridiculous. This is a minimum top half team at the very least, and I don't think they will afford Parky the time to get things wrong. It's a cutthroat business, especially at Wrexham. If you are not pulling your weight, you're gone immediately. Defensively, they look dog shit. Okonkwo looked quite nervy to come out for the ball. I just think there's too many changes at once, and I know they've done it in every other league, but I do think part of this is managing so many different egos and knowing who to upset and when, and I don't know. There's just too much at once for me with Wrexham. I know they've obviously done this every other season. It's worked every other season. I just think they've gone one too far in terms of changing a full team again. There's just so much happening. Yeah, but I think Parky will be one that bites bullet me and quickly, especially if they lose next 2. I think he's gone. Good first goal for Burrell, by the way. But yeah, standout Kone as always. QPR look a tidy little side, especially going forward. Got some good players. Oxford 2, Leicester 2. Red card in 25th minute, and they still didn't win the game, Oxford, which is slightly infuriating. Well, I'd be absolutely, fumed, mate, because that is a really good chance to win a game. I know they've not lost in the last 2 now, but they've only picked up 2 points so far this season, and this is a really good chance to get more, playing against 10 men for about 70 minutes. It were a red card, by the way, definitely, for anybody that needs my opinion for some reason. But yeah, 100% a red card. Mavididi looked shit on the, well, it's only limited highlights, so that goal shows you in it, but he looked very nice. Quite slack from Brannigan for the first equaliser for Leicester, but it very rarely makes a mistake anyway, does it? And on the surface of it, this probably does look like a bit of a smash and grab for Leicester. In fact, the minute that they actually scored, even though they scored in 55th minute and saw it out quite well, that were a fantastic goal, by the way. The actual play itself, some very nice little intricate passing. You can see what... That's more like it from Cifuentes, do you know what I mean? They've got a good points tally anyway. They're on 10 after 5 games. And that's with selling a lot of good players. So I think they've had a half decent start anyway, Leicester. But you can sort of see what their play style is. I think it's becoming more clear game on game from the outside looking in, only from highlights, obviously. And I don't see just the full 90 minutes. But Leicester are looking somewhat like, in what looks quite a weak league at minute, because there's a lot of good teams on really poor points tallies. It's not a bad point for Oxford either by any means, like getting a point against somebody that's just come down from Premier League and won the thing in last decade. But if you're conceding 2 at home consistently, you're going to find it hard to win games, aren't you? I think they've just got to tighten up at back and offer a little bit more going forward. They're just looking a little bit weak in every area at pitch at the minute, Oxford, compared to the counterparts that are down at bottom. But yeah, it's not the worst point ever, but that were a serious chance at getting 3. But a good point tally for Leicester, and they look a good side. Charlton and Millwall, I think that now makes it, 30 odd years since Charlton last bet them. I mean, not really surprising. I think I said this actually as my prediction. Bangura Williams in 88th minute, he's going to be a player, that lad. He looks about 12, but another one from Millwall Academy that's just been churned out. They've got a few of these boys coming through. Me and mates were watching it at a pub, and it looked like quite a scrappy game, not loads and loads of quality. But that's what you'd expect, really, from Charlton, Millwall, Nathan Jones, and Neil. So there's nothing surprising about this game or the result or the way that it planned out. Like 1-1, most nailed on scoreline of all time coming into this game. And manner that goals went in didn't surprise me either. 2 quite scrappy ones, just getting ball into the box and putting it in mixer. Just get your head on it, get some like scrappy pokes or something like that. It's exactly what you'd expect. There's nothing really to write home about here, just other than Charlton at bet Millwall since dawn of time. 1-1. Oh God. Right. 2 really surprising sides for me so far coming into this season. I didn't expect either of these to have started anywhere near as good as they did. In fact, in my video where I predicted first 5 games, I had Middlesbrough bottom at league and the top. So just don't listen to anything I say. The actual goals themselves, screamer. Got to be said, that's a really nice finish from Lewis Dobbin. Target again, they're just making it hard. That's what I think. For all 3 of these goals, really, none of these 3 were like seriously beautiful. They weren't like the best, most well-worked goals of all time. But similar to what I've just said about Millwall, if you keep putting ball into box, eventually something is going to stick for you. And it worked for both teams, really, with them 3 goals. Middlesbrough are the better side, so this is almost what you would expect anyway. But Middlesbrough started fantastic. 4 wins and a draw in the first 5 games. I mean, they look good value for a win most weeks and all. And I'm surprised, I'm going to say it again, I'm surprised that Rob Edwards has got a tune out of him as fast as he did. But I will hold my hands up and say well done. They've had a fantastic start, Middlesbrough. And so have Preston, to be fair. Because a lot of people have got them in a relegation battle. And they've only lost once. And it were away at Ports before we're really good at home. And that's not an easy fixture at all. But Preston 2, Middlesbrough 2. Good point for both sides. And a good start for both teams and all. Wednesday 0, Bristol City 3. This is just sad, really. I mean, it's still fun. But it's just getting a bit boring now. Wednesday just lose every week. Considerably as well. The 3 home games so far that they've played in Championship. 3-0 loss, 2-0 loss, 3-0 loss. This is just... What's point? Do you know what I mean? 3-0 down in half an hour to a good Bristol City side and a really good manager in Struber. They just took foot off gas, didn't they? They could not be arsed. Wednesday just awful. I don't know who even were for one at goals. It might have been Valerie. We're seasoned pro. We're not looking at one at kids like a Mass or McNeil that's just been absolutely dog shit from his position. But the defending's atrocious. Absolutely awful. They just look defeated already. They look like they know what's coming. They're just picking up a wage until season's done. But Bristol City are just a good side. Some really good pickups that they've made in summer, like Randall, for example. He just seamlessly gets into what were a very good midfield last season in Bristol City. I think that was the strongest area by some distance. And he comes in and he just makes it look stronger immediately. They've got some really nice depth for Bristol City now, which I don't think I would have said about him in previous seasons. Though, like, if they took a knock to a certain player, I think they're all right for that position. They've got some good personnel in here now. They're a serious outfit. I don't think they're just an easy bet for middle at table doing nothing this year. And I know that they're taking piss out at whipping boys at Division in Sheffield Wednesday. But they look a good side, Bristol City. They seriously do. I would not write these off at all. But as always, Wednesday, I just can't even be asked making a little gibber to them anymore. They're that crap. Coventry 1, Norwich 1. The smash and grab of the century from Norwich. And it was actually the complete opposite because Coventry are the ones that smashed and grabbed in 96 minutes. But how they have not won this game, from what the highlights have shown and what these stats are showing right in front of our very eyes right now, I have no idea. I don't know how they've managed to nick that because Norwich aren't a bad side at all, by the way. One thing I would say, Harry Darling had an absolute honker. How did you say that he were man at match? Obviously, I weren't there. I weren't in Coventry watching the game. But from the highlights that it's shown, one, he put ball into his own net and were lucky that it were deemed offside. And then he were massively at fault for goal by just dawdling on it in 96 minutes for some reason. But other than 2 humongous points, he must have had a great game because he got man at match apparently. 3.6 expected goals and no penalties. All at ball, 28 shots against a Liam Manning team, by the way. These are one of the best teams in this division by a mile. They're in 6th minute after 5 games. They've not lost. They're one of 3 teams who have not lost with Bristol City and Middlesbrough. I would and have got serious money on these getting promoted this season. They are, from the early signs of this division, obviously the Lampard factor is a thing as well because if West Ham sack Potter, you never know, he might end up going. But if they keep Lampard and are fairly lucky on the side of injuries, this is one of the best teams in this league. By some margin. Coventry are a really, really good side. Swansea 2 apiece with Hull. Ollie McBurney, the goal scorer for Hull for the first one. Ex-Swansea man, put his hands up. I love McBurney. And this Vipotnik, again, let me go and check him a minute. He's got 3 and 4 so far. Like last season, he weren't somebody that stood out to me as like, oh, he looks like a tidy little player. He obviously got 7 goals in his first season in England. It's not the worst thing ever. But I was never really impressed with him. So far, I really have been. And at 23... player. Draw, probably fair. Hull marginally the better side, if anything. But one thing I really enjoy, right, is number 9s scoring their type of goal. This Vipotnik had his back to goal, shifted it out his feet really quickly and put it in bottom corner. Good finish. McBurney, blistering run into the box, slides in and scores a tap-in. You know when teams actually mould around the striker and he scores just easy goals for his own game? Same as Kiefer Moore at Wrexham. You're playing to your striker's strengths. Your striker is going to get a lot of goals. And these two are the perfect example of it so far. Vipotnik's got 3 goals so far. McBurney, since coming back, he's got 2 goals, 2 assists in 5 games. I think Kiefer Moore's one of the top goal scorers in division. Why would you not play to your striker's strengths? It proper grinds me gears when teams don't. He's going to be out most money, his striker. He's the best player. That's why it's striker. Why would you make someone like Kiefer Moore or McBurney run channels? Get him in box where they're effective and you'll get goals out of him. I love seeing stuff like this. And I'll tell you what, I would change my mind now on Hull. I know I've chopped and changed on my predictions so many times now, so who actually cares? And it's a really hard division to call because there's only 3 teams that won a game, and it's both Sheffield and Oxford. Everybody else has got to win at least in the first 5 games. So it's an hard division to call. But if Hull are going to mould around the strengths of the striker, Ollie McBurney, they will stay up. Swansea look an eighth decent outfit anyway, so they're not going to be in danger. I just worry about sides that don't mould to the striker. It proper does me head in. But these two eighth decent sides on the basis of it so far, I know it's hard to judge, and Hull have lost 2 games and they've conceded a lot of goals so far, and it's a very hard division to call anyway. But yeah, not a bad point for either side, that. Stoke and Birmingham, right, this is quite a big one as well. The highlights did not show a great deal, but I watched the Mark Robins interview afterwards, and he's not shy anyway. I've seen him for Barnsley when he used to manage us. He weren't shy at Coventry. I just like him as a bloke anyway. But for him to come into interview afterwards and say, we were definitely better side, we deserved win, I think does probably speak volumes to it anyway. Obviously, I've not seen it, I've only seen highlights, but shots on target for Birmingham 0 paints its own picture. The fact that you've got one of the best keepers in league, Stoke, who is definitely one of the best players, and he's not had anything to do, I think that speaks really to how the game panned out. They are just struggling at minute, Birmingham, aren't they, to create more than anything. They've got no goals in the last 3 games. I think they're just cursed with Midlands. Even Port Vale better make up. Maybe it is just a case of he don't know his best team yet, Birmingham gaffer. Maybe that's what it is when you're bringing some serious players in, by the way. Like they're bringing in top draw championship standard players in to what were EFL points record holders from last season. So how do you sort of justify changing players that have done so well for you when you've got players like Doyle and this Newman and Gray and Roberts? You've sort of got to put them in, haven't you? I just think it's trying to find a balance at minute, because obviously 5 games in, once to get a run of games, and probably, well, now that international break's done and you can sort of get a rhythm of what you want, I think we'll probably start seeing him picking some points up soon. But I just think that's what it is. You don't really know his best team, whereas Matt Robbins looks like he does at minute. They've started really good, 4 wins and a loss, and the one loss were at home to West Brom. Really good defensive side as well, as you'd expect with this man stood in sticks. But even when he's got naught to do, that shows how good the defensive unit and the structure is in front of him anyway. Good side, Stoke. You've got to give him credit, which I never do, because there's never anything to give him credit about. But this season there is, and they look a top side. They do look good. Watford 0, Blackburn 1. Again, tough to put my finger on anything that is going on with these 2 teams, really, at minute. Blackburn have made so many changes, same as Watford, and I thought Watford would win this game, which just shows they're just such a hard team. You can never get a grip on Watford ever. Good stats though. I mean, I think Blackburn are in trouble, me personally, but I'm rooting for Ismail as the next Barnsley boy. I just don't know what to say. When I come in here and look at these teams, I don't know what to say. The highlights don't show a great deal. They're both just so hot and cold all the time. The Blackburn have won 2 games, lost 3. Watford have 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. They're both all over the place. They're so hard to call, which is probably why I've got effectively every single prediction wrong on them both. One thing I will say though, I think Blackburn's full defence has changed. You know, from pre-transfer window, they've let a lot of lads go. And effectively, definitely the defenders have both changed. To be fair, they've put a lot of blocks in, and they've made it very hard to get any sort of clear chance. They've had 1 shot on target at home, Watford. That is really poor. But it also speaks, again, to how good a defensive unit they've got there. Ismail's no mug anyway. He used to be a defender for Bayern Munich, so he's not shy, is he? But they've done well to go in and just make it really hard to play against them, Blackburn, which is what you would expect from a side, from Ismail anyway. But it's a really impressive win. That's all I will say. Very impressive win for Blackburn, and one that could count for a lot at end of season. West Brom versus Derby. I believe this was 125 years at the Hawthorns, which is some landmark. Absolute rookie numbers, mate. Why don't you try 138 years? Proper team. To be fair, a lot of West Brom fans were saying to me, after I'd done my predictions, that regardless, West Brom could be playing like prime Brazil, and Derby could be in pits of hell, and Derby'd still win. They just never ever beat Derby. Even with stats like that, I've not clicked on this before, so that has proper shook me. But to be fair, you know, the highlights, it didn't show a great deal. West Brom maybe marginally unlucky to a certain extent. That price again looked quite sharp on the highlights, but they weren't clinical enough, and it shows here. Good finish though. Where is he? That's what we're going to say. Some fellas, Andy Vyman, some fellas, see, you know his goal tally here, he's had 2 decent seasons in his entire career, effectively. Even going back to when he first started, he never did anything. I swear down, every time I see a goal, and it's Andy Vyman, I'm convinced that he scored every other week before that. He's one of them guys, he's in my head, I can't get him out, because every time I see him score, I think he should be on 10 by now. To be fair, 7 in 30, and a lot of them are going to be off bench or coming off at airtime or 60. He's not getting full 90s consistently, is he, with the age that he's at now, 34. But but he's just a bags man. He's one of them guys. I'll tell you what, I would love him at Barnsley. I think he's one of them that every time he gets on ball, you're like, I trusted this guy. But yeah, similar to what I said about Coventry. I know Coventry got a point and West Brom ended up losing. But if your stats look like this early in its season, points are obviously what wins prizes, aren't they, at the end of the day? And there's no point playing well if you're going to lose all your games. If West Brom are playing like this consistently, the points are going to come for you. And Derby, no mugs at all. John Eustace is a really good manager. I think he's fantastic, me. Defensively, I do think there's an issue for Derby, definitely. And I will probably say this until season's finished. But I always think with Derby, they've got a goal in them with personnel that they've got. Fantastic win, but not end it well for West Brom. And then Southampton 0, Portsmouth 0, I couldn't care less. But looking at the table, still at the bottom and propping everybody else up is Sheffield United. 5 games, 5 losses, 1 goal scored, and 1 manager sacked, baby. Wilder is probably going to be back by the time this is posted, or at the very latest this weekend. Won't be long till the shooting up table, but I'd probably write autos off already. Playoffs ain't gone because they're only 9 points off it, so it's not end at world. But a very poor start for both teams in Sheffield. Well, Wednesday, you know what I mean, Hillsborough, Barnsley. But even though the performances do warrant relegation battle, soon this will change once Wilder's in. Wednesday are going to get relegated. Oxford I do slightly worry about, and Wrexham, another one at sides that are down at bottom. Parky has got weeks to live, and then he's gone. Moving up table, really impressive win for Ipswich. It's about time. I expect them to start bringing some teams to sword a little bit. QPR again, another good win with attacking threat that they've got. It's not a surprise really. But the only 2 teams in the top 11 that have won the game this weekend is Bristol City with a 3-0 win away at Wednesday, who look very sharp and are yet to lose a game, and Stoke, who have 4 wins and 1 loss. The only 3 teams who have not lost, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, and Coventry. 3 very good sides. But it's time for the Pop and Crisp League, baby. Another week gone by and another game closer to the title. First up in the big derby, Bradford 3, Huddersfield 1. Bobby Poynton did actually get an hat-trick. This is wrong. He stood there with match ball afterwards and it says that it flicked off him after. Not bad for a young kid that's a Bradford fan and come through their academy to get an hat-trick against the biggest rivals. Not bad at all, young fella. Bradford, well-warranted win. I saw a lot of fans of both sides really saying that came absolutely dog shit. And I said this against Barnsley. They've lost 2 big games in the last couple of weeks, Huddersfield. Against 2, well, local sides. It's not a derby between us and Huddersfield. But 2, what's proven to be better sides, because Bradford is second and Barnsley are third. I think they're proving that they're still lacking different profiles of player, especially at middle at Park, because this isn't exactly a midfield and a core team with loads of legs that's going to run you ragged. But I just think they look so much more mature than what Huddersfield do so far. And Huddersfield have won 5 games. They're in 6th, despite them not even starting that well in my own eyes. So it's not end of world, is it, that you can play not that well and be 6th. And again, I want to point it out that I think Bradford at their place will have one of the highest points tallies comfortably. They're very much reminding me of like a Derby in the last couple of years when they were down in here. Not so much one of the biggest sides, Bradford. They're a decent sized club for this division. But the attendances and the ground, I just do think teams will go there and probably shit the pants. Especially if it's a decent atmosphere like this will be against Huddersfield. I think a lot of teams will go to Bradford and lose. I think it'll be a very hard place for anybody to go and get anything at all. Never mind a win. But across the board, Bradford just well-warranted win. Better side, considerably. Poynton got all 3. To be fair, this fella does look good. Even though I'm nicking goal off him here, it does look good. Swan looks a really serious player. And this is where Humphries, who's got tonsillitis, I believe, he said. So the depth looks all right. They look really good going forward. Defensively, they're going to be a strong, sturdy side anyway, Bradford. I know they've conceded 10 goals so far. But again, going back to it, at their place, not a lot of sides are going to go and get anything there. Near mind a win. Well deserved. Really good side. Second for a reason. Bradford, good team. But Huddersfield, there's just still something. I think at home they'll pick a lot of points up, and against a lot of crap sides, they will definitely win a lot of games. But you know, in the big uns, when it matters, so far in the ones that they've played, I'm not seeing anything to think that if these ended up in playoffs, that I would make them favourites for it. Because against the better sides, they're proving that they're just not up to it at minute. But a really, really impressive, good, solid win for Bradford, that in a very big game. Right, let's look at your title favourites. Barnsley 3, Reading 2. Defensively, again, I'll talk about the negatives slightly because obviously it's just sunshine and rainbows at Oakwell at minute. Cooper dropped a bollock for the first goal, but it's also the only thing he's done wrong. So mate, you play how you are doing and drop odd one of them. I couldn't give a monkey's, mate. Absolutely outstanding keeper for this division. Earl with an header after me saying that we don't do anything from corners, which a lot of time we've done. It's popped up with an header. Nicely done. Really good goal for the second one. Connell's been outstanding so far, and then Better plays it back across for Dunn. Good finish. I think the penalty was probably slightly harsh, if I'm being honest. We definitely deserved the win. Like, I'm not going to take it away from us. We did deserve a win. And that's why I was even playing like that electric. I just think Reading looked quite poor from the bits that I've seen. I weren't at game, to be fair. I've only watched extended highlights after. But Middle Park, I just think we give anybody a run for the money in this division. 19-year-old Bland, by the way. Listen, we're all sat here, me especially, talking about like Jallo and the amount of money that fella's going to make us. We've got Connor Phillips and Dunn that we're not even going to speak to you unless you're dropping multi-M's in front of us. Bland is going to go for so much money, it's going to be disgusting. 19 years old, it looks like he's been playing for years. Oh, this is the one, innit? And especially with how crap we were last season, you know. We were absolutely awful. I think we won like 5 games all year. Some dog shit like that. We were so crap all year, conceded boatloads of goals. And I'm just looking, since start of this season here, Burton's a win, Fleetwood's a winning cup, Rotherham's a winning cup. We played with 10 men for half an hour against Bolton, who were a very good side anyway, and a points note to shun it anyway. But we were 1-0 up before a red card, and we could have gone on to win that. Beat a very good Huddersfield team, and beat Reading. We're scoring so many goals. You know, after 4 years of straight ass, this is great. Wimbledon 2, Rotherham 1. I'm not surprised. I'm not going to sit here and bash Rotherham like I've been doing in previous weeks. It was a good finish from Ugal, to be fair, but it was also a penalty that Ugal gave away. So complete opposite ends at spectrum, really. But I don't think this is an easy place to go by any means. We lost 2-0 to Wimbledon, and I don't think we even played particularly bad. I just think Wimbledon, especially at home, are a good team. So I'm not going to kick Rotherham while they're down, because I think they'll be down anyway for a long time. I don't think they're getting back up, really. But there's no shame in losing this game. Wimbledon are a good team. Stevens, by the way, I think he's top goal scorer in division now, if I go and look at it quickly. Yep, 5 goals and an assist. But how far do you have to scroll down to find a Rotherham man, is the question. 2 for Nombe, and he's been injured for 3 games. That's what I mean, man. These are lacking up top. I think a lot of teams, a lot of good ones as well, will go here and drop points. But still, Rotherham crap. God, I'm actually just a genius. Northampton 1, Blackpool 0. Now, I don't know why, but I had a bet on early kickoffs, and I put both teams to score on this. Northampton win. And it's the Blackpool goal is the only thing that let me down for 750 quid. Why did I put that on? I said that they'd win 1-0. And then I've gone against my own logic on bet. I don't know anymore. But I'll tell you what. Oh, God. I miss you. I miss you. He scored 10 goals for Middle Park last season. Oh, I loved this guy. Seriously, I really liked McGeehan when he were at us, and I just root for him. I hope he does well. Blackpool, I'm aware that your next game is at home to Barnsley, so if you could hold off sacking Bruce until after we've come and bet you, that'd be fantastic. But it's a really poor start. The second bottom Blackpool after 7 games. 3 wins in a row, though, for Northampton. They're no mugs, even though I think they're in trouble, and I worry for the Northamptons and Exeters of this world in this division this year. I do worry for these teams still. But 3 wins in a row without conceding. Again, against sides that are not your top teams. Exeter, Blackpool and Leyton Orient. Despite Leyton Orient maybe having an outside chance at playoffs. These aren't Huddersfield and Cardiff and Bolton and these teams, are they? And against the other ones, they do look all right. They've had a favourable start, Northampton, in fairness. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And defensively, they look quite good. So, credit where it's due. Northampton look a fairly decent side. And they're building from back upwards, aren't they? They're making it hard to beat and hard to break down. Blackpool just aren't. They've conceded 14 goals in division in 7 games. It's really poor. They need to turn them fast. But if they could wait until after next week, that'd be fantastic. But a really impressive win for Northampton. You know what? I am a genius. I just definitely am. Exeter 0, Port Vale 2. I gave this a lot of hammer in prediction video that I think that Port Vale soon are going to start winning a lot of games. I think the Cole addition, again, I'm going to stop bashing him, even though he did down tools for Barnsley and it was crap for 6 months on end. In this division, he knows where his net is. He's going to score a lot of goals for you, especially if you can put it on a plate and play to his strengths, like I was banging on about with championship teams. If you play to this man's strengths, he's going to score you some goals. If you can put some grass between him and net and put him in behind, he's a nippy forward for an old man now. He's about 30, but he's still a fast fella. They're just a good team, and they warrant more points that they've got. It's the first win in 8 games. They're only up to 5 points now, but at least they're out at bottom 4. These are a good team. I stand by it. I think these will stay up. They're good in a few different areas. They've just been unlucky in a lot of the games. They're a good team, these are. And going back to it, I struggle to see a world where the Exeters of this place can survive. I know they've had a really good start so far, but they're just too hot and cold for my liking. Whereas Port Vale, despite a really poor start, points tally-wise, I think they're a good team, and I think they'll be well clear of danger. Luton 2, Plymouth 3, very surprising, I'm not going to lie. Edwards got a straight red card. I mean, I agree with every decision. It went very much against Plymouth in this game. Like, they had 2 penalties against them and a red card, and they still ended up winning, by the way, which is really good going. Good finish, that one from that Ibrahim, by the way. But I agree with all three big decisions. That's a penalty, and I think that is a red card. I don't think you can argue against any decisions. And to be fair, I think it's easy to not moan when you've won game against a ref, but I don't think Plymouth fans were actually moaning about the decisions anyway, because they're all right. Wiredu again is just centre of attention. I don't know why he's going in like this. Just absolute lunacy. But Ibrahim has proved to be a very good player. We're on loan at Crawley last season from Hereford Berlin. I don't know how that move were a thing anyway, but he's a good player. And Luton fans have been telling me, to be fair, that they're not playing that well and they're not overly convinced on him at minute. And I can sort of understand where you're coming from now after this. You should put a side that's been down in dumps anyway. I know they've now won 3 out of the last 4 games, Plymouth, and they look like they're really starting to build something. You could see that there was certain parts at pitch that they were looking all right anyway, especially going forward. Defensively, they're crap. Still, 100% they are awful at back. But Luton are a little bit too on call for my liking at minute for a side that I think will be right at top. Don't get me wrong, I'm not moaning. If we keep chipping away, I could not give a flying donkey what anybody else is doing. But that is a very solid win for Plymouth, that. They've lost 2 games at home already, Luton, and it's to 2 of the other good sides. I know you'll not look at Plymouth and take them seriously at a minute, a lot of people, but I think they'll be up and around like top half at least by the time it's done. And they've lost to Plymouth and Cardiff. The 2 sides that they come down with, despite Luton looking in much better nick coming down. There's something going on here with this team at minute. A side that should be well clear at top of league, personnel and manager-wise. But it's a fantastic win for Plymouth nonetheless. Really good win. Leyton Orient 1, Bolton 1. Again, I think Bolton are just a little bit too toothless at minute in front of goal. The way that they scored, can you just rely on this? 94th minute, absolute thunder bastard from edge at box. Maybe, because he is just a very good player. But I've seen that Sheffield United are linked with him as well. So maybe in January he gets recalled and then that's a lot of your goal threat gone. But in their 8 games so far, Bolton have drawn 5. Like, none of the other top sides are doing anything like that. Even the ones that have started quite poorly. Plymouth haven't drawn 5 games. They might have lost 5 instead. But you know what I mean? They've got that little bit where they can get over the line and win some games. Bolton have only won 2 so far. And again, I stand by the fact that, like I said on the other teams, like a West Brom or a Coventry, if your stats consistently like this and you are consistently the better side, you will pick a lot of points up over a full season. The season has not finished after 8 games. And Bolton, in a lot of the games, have looked like this. I do think points will come. But 5 draws, and they haven't had an hard start, it's got to be said, but 5 draws in 8 games. That's mid-table fodder tackle. That you're not going to get it top 6 if you can't just nick a win every now and again, and they're not doing it just at minute. Defensively, they've been okay, I think, and that's what I would say is a weak point, looking at the personnel in the team. But they really need to start finding net, because it's not through a lack of trying. They are making a lot of chances. They're just not putting it away. And the amount of last-minute screamers, or just screamers in general, that I've seen from this team, how sustainable that is, I don't know. But they need to start finding onion bag quite quickly, Bolton. Leyton Orient, I think, just aren't a top 6 side as of right now. They look good going forward, but again, defensively, they're just a bit shit. Homer with the bell. The end is near. Peterborough have won a game. They have moved from 24th to 24th with this opening win. Really good finish from this fella. He were injured first couple of games. Is it the New Zealand man? But now they're just starting to play. Really good finish. He looks the business him. Now, how do I want to play this? Do I want to give Peterborough credit or just blame everything on Mark Dodds being absolutely dog shit? I think I'm going to actually give Peterborough a little bit of credit where it's due. Because Wickham, I did think, looked like they were getting a little bit better as games were going on. This don't surprise me in the slightest. I do just think he's best player in club by some margin at Peterborough. I will bash Wickham a little bit because I do, in the grand scheme of things, think that they're crap because of Mike Dodds. But Peterborough, you can only beat what's in front of you, can't you? And it's about time. They needed to beat somebody. And if you're going to beat anybody, it's going to be a Wickham side that just look as poor as this at home. I were going to say that I think they've looked like they're getting better results-wise. And I said that in my either last week's CFL review or predictions vid. That the results are getting better. I don't think they, as a team, are. But this is about time. This is comfortably the best performance at season so far. Warranted win, still very leaky defensively, and do I think they'll stay up? Absolutely not, but a good win nonetheless. Stockport 1, Cardiff 1. It was a 97th minute Salech equaliser from a Norwood penalty. The fact does still remain that Cardiff have not conceded a goal from open play all season. They've not even conceded goals from corners or free kicks. It's 2 penalties in 7 games. That's it. From the bits that I saw, I do think it was a penalty as well. I'm not going to argue with that. But I said 1-1 for this game, and I think Cardiff had taken a 1-1 before. They're not as good, Stockport, as they were last season. That is a given. They've conceded 12 goals in 8 games. That you don't expect that from Stockport, who was so defensively solid last season. And they are a good team. Whatever I say about them, the fact that they're not as good as last season's been and gone. This season, they are still a good team. Probably not a top 3-4 team. They're not an auto chaser Stockport by any means, but they're still a good side. And I think going to their place and getting a point is good for anybody, no matter who you are. If you can go to Stockport and get a point, that is good going. But Cardiff do stay top of the league, still yet to lose a game, 2 draws, 5 wins, 12 goals scored, none that into penalty conceded. Really good team. God, this one shocked me. Wigan 3, Donny 0. Why do I go against anything that I ever say? I start reading comments and taking on board what they're saying, and then I'm thinking, oh, Donny are actually a good side here. 3-0 loss to mid-table Wigan. Well, I say mid-table Wigan. They are 8th at minute, and that's with 1 win in 5 games. Well deserved as well. Donny didn't create a great deal at all, really. But I do think Wigan defensively are a good team. I seriously do, especially at home. I don't think they will concede loads of goals. So far, 3-1 win against Northampton, and they were best side by a mile. 2-0 against Peterborough. 1 apiece with Stockport, who are a good team, and then 3-0 against Donny. They're another one of them. I don't think they'll pick up the points away required to probably propel you into any sort of conversation. But at home, they're a good team, Wigan are. Donny, you've still started outstanding. Do you know what I mean? They're 5th after coming up from League 2. They've not got the budget or the attendances or the money to do what Bradford are doing. But Donny are still a good team. I won't let this get in way of a very good start. I'd still be like high on life. And if I were a Donny fan, I'd just be waffling to hills. I'd be saying that we're going to win league. Because why not? Delude yourself. You're a fan. They're still not a bad side. I just think Wigan is another one. Maybe the real top sides will go here and win. The real top teams will go to Wigan and win. But again, I think you can count that on one hand, how many times they will lose a game at home, Wigan. Not a bad side. It's just a very impressive win for Wigan, that is. Mansfield and Stevenage, not a lot to say really about a 1-1 draw, and I do think it was probably warranted. I think this is quite flawed from the odd bit that I saw. It was the manner of how they conceded, though. They went 1-0 up from a corner. Very Stevenage, like, defensively quite... Do you know what I mean? Oh, guys, ding, ding, ding. Put that on your bingo card. Defensively quite solid. Good defenders that can chip in with goals and all. But then to concede from another one of Stevenage's corners, or it was a free kick, it was definitely set piece. Stevenage could have made it 2-0, and then Gardner's ran down other end, carried ball 60 yards, and really good finish, to be fair. But some of that you wouldn't expect that. A bit slack on the decision-making, Stevenage, especially when you're 1-0 up away at a grotty side that's going to make it difficult for you. You'd expect to not shove as many men up for a corner when you're 1-0 up in 70th minute and you've just scored. Do you know what I mean? I think they were all getting a bit giddy, like, oh, we've scored, we're 1-0 up out. No, I want a goal. Not thinking about what's really important for you. Decent point for both sides, not going to lie. I think they're both looking at different things realistically, despite being two smaller teams. Stevenage are a good team. I'm not bothered what anybody says. I'm not bothered if you look at the badge or the name, whatever. 7 games in, the 4th, these are a good team, Stevenage are. And Mansfield I still think he'll be fine, but when you come in up against a team and the form that they are, there is nothing wrong at all with a point against Stevenage. And then seeing it out with Burton 0, Lincoln 1. Again, Lincoln are a good side. They're sort of sneaking under the radar a little bit, you know. They've not lost since the second game, which are away at Wimbledon. But other than that, they went 3 wins in a row, a draw, a win, a draw, a win, a draw, a win. They've had, to be fair, they have had a favourable start, I would say. The only teams that I look at and think they'll be right at top are maybe Plymouth at a stretch, Bolton, and that's probably it. But again, there's no point really looking at run-ins, is there? Because everybody's got to play these sides. It's not like Lincoln are the only team that's going to play Burton. Defensively, they're okay, Lincoln, but it's not been the strong point this season, has it, so far? They've looked quite a threat going forward. And Burton are 3rd bottom, but I think despite 4 losses in the last 5 games, I still think they're all right. They've only played 6 games. They've played the least so far out of everybody. Maybe they'll end up going down. They're definitely going to be in a sort of battle down at bottom. And like I said, I worry about your Burtons and your Exeters and Northamptons. To clump all these smaller sides together in one sort of clan, I do worry about them sort of teams with the strength of the ones that's come up from League 2. But Lincoln are not a bad side at all. These are no mugs. Sonny Bradley, I'm not bothered about his age, and people might not think he's that mobile. But if you play to the strengths of your better players, like, let's not play an high line with Sonny Bradley. Let's just pack his sends out a little bit. Let's make it hard to break down. Let's just be really solid and good in air from both ends, which is what the goals come from. And you're going to get points. These are a well-drilled side. They're a good team. But looking at the table, Peterborough, despite the win, still bottom of the league, but maybe it gives them a little bit of confidence now. Maybe. Surely. They're still going down. Blackpool, Burton and Reading make up the bottom 4. I'll tell you what, after watching them, I'm not over surprised with Reading being down there, because even though it's 3-2, it makes it seem a lot closer than it were. Port Vale finally get the first win, and they were good for it as well. These are a good team. Moving up the table, Plymouth will start pushing themselves up quite a bit soon. Bolton just still sat at middle, a side that you'd expect to be doing better. Same as Stockport and Luton, to be fair, not really pulled any trees up yet. Huddersfield, for all stick that I'm giving them and being really harsh on them, really, it's because I expect so much from the team that they've got. but 6th for despite not playing that good at start. It's great going. Donny and Stevenage, despite dropping points, are still in there, and the only 2 teams from the top 6 to have won a game this weekend are Bradford beating Huddersfield in a very impressive win, and Barnsley beating Reading 3-2. Cardiff do still retain top of division and are the only team in it to be unbeaten, but Barnsley game in hand 3rd place. Oh shit. Right, boys and girls, absolute pleasure. Love you all, kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.